Welcome, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon webinar session. We're going to talk about at the new normal, how we really look at connecting our internal employees, and we are having our amazing guest today, Mr. Rajiv Nathani. Later, I will give a more formal introduction to him. But just a quick introduction of myself first. So my name is Yujing Guo. I'm a part of Facebook Workplace team. I'm based out of Singapore, actually, at the Facebook APAC headquarters. In the past 3 years, I have been working with HR and comms leaders across India and Southeast Asia to really explore how workplace from Facebook can be disruptive to their personal career roles and also company internal engagement systems. I'm happy to be here today to host this panel discussion. And there won't be a lot of, typical webinar presentations today, I swear, because I know that will be very difficult to really get your attention span, especially now everyone, I think the majority of you are still working from home. We'll try to try our best to share things interesting and insightful with you. Right, so now Mr. Rajiv Nathani is our amazing guest today. He himself is a writer, a speaker, and a social entrepreneur, an organizational development thought leader, and overall an HR leader who believes in self being the instrument of change. And with over 15 years of experience in this field, with multiple leadership level associations to his credit, he has played a key role in the transformational journey of some of these companies. And Rajiv is inspired by the employee-first concept and finds it to be the key driver towards catering to the expectations of customers and shareholders. In his current role, Rajiv has the global HR organization for Infogain with geographical presence in US, India, UK, Poland, Singapore, and the Middle East. He has witnessed the workplace onboarding at Infogain, while he was also one of the decision makers to really push this through. Rajiv, we're privileged to have you here with us today, and I'm sure our audience is going to benefit from your experience.
Thank you, Yuzing. Thank you for having me here for this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks. And we also have Mr. Amulya Shah, an HR head of Team Computers. Amulya is a transformative HR leader with over 2 decades of experience in multiple senior leadership roles. He's also a TED speaker and a true digitalization innovator for HR systems and processes. Mr. Amulya, I think your experience in supporting various businesses like manufacturing services, FMCG research and development, and also in multi-geographical locations within India and abroad, itself speaks of the diversity of work and cultural changes you have been through. And really welcome to our webinar today. And we would really want to know a bit more about the innovation artists within you during this session. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks, Eugene. It's a pleasure. And welcome, Rajiv, also on this webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think let's kick off this session with a very quick video about what Workplace is. And let me just share my screen with you.
Evolves for the future, your teams and culture should change and grow with it. The key to achieving this is connection. At Facebook, we know a lot about connecting people. That's why we built Workplace, to connect the world of work and turn companies into communities. And just like Facebook and Messenger, Workplace is intuitive and simple to use. Workplace lets you connect directly with your employees, meaning you can always find and engage the right people at the right time. It also lets you broadcast live to your entire company to get real-time comments and reactions. Workplace isn't just about increasing engagement, it's about boosting culture too. Groups allow you to share ideas, celebrate contributions, and connect on projects with meaningful collaboration. They're a shared space where people and teams feel connected, informed, and supported. When every team, manager, or partner is connected, great things happen. Workplace gives you confidence that your teams are working together, solving problems and striving for success. With Knowledge Library, all your company and team's resources can sit in one place. Workplace seamlessly integrates with your existing tools and adapts with your organization. It gives you the control, security, and visibility your company needs. No matter what type of work you do, Workplace is designed for everyone, whether you're behind a desk or in front of customers. With 5 million paid users around the world, Workplace has connected companies in a big way. Just imagine what it could do for yours.
I hope everyone enjoyed the video. At least now you can have some fundamental understanding of what we're going to talk about. I think a workplace plays a lot of important roles today across many organizations to help them build a better connected internal. Right. Sorry, I had a hiccup on my laptop side, but yeah. So let's kick off the panel discussion and let's welcome Mr. Rajiv and Amulya again. I'm going to have a few questions for both of you, and some questions probably just for Mr. Rajiv, as you know, you were one of the decision makers from Infogain to decide on workplace implementation in your organization a few years back there. So I think some of the questions I really want to hear from you about your journey with workplace at that time. So let's get ready for that. Okay, so first of all, I think for both of you, probably many of the audience and myself, we're very keen to know that as HR leaders, what do you think are some of the key challenges for you in terms of employee connect for any organization today, if you can share with us? And let's start from Rajiv.
Yep.
Oh, sure. So thanks once again, Yuzing and Amulya, for having me here as part of this panel in the webinar. Coming to the question you asked, I believe that the biggest challenge which we possibly see is, to start with, number one is HR people reach out to, they don't know when to reach out to whom. Right? That's the biggest challenge from a Connect perspective. We are mostly reactive. When some event happens, then we reach out to people. We may not have the real good insights in terms of reaching people on time to help them deal with their situations and challenges. That's one. And the second challenge which I see is, how do we build the credibility, right? So, for example, when there's a first-time connect happening between HR partner and the employee, why would employee trust to the partner? Why there's no context there? So how do we build that credibility and trust? And that definitely has to do with a lot of cultural aspects of the organization, and that's where the challenge can be mitigated to a great extent. And third important thing is our ability from a manager's perspective to build a connect with our employees, right? As a managers, are we really connecting with people at a personal or relationship level, or is it just a task-based relationship which we build with them? And I think sometimes we don't do a good job as a managers there, and that's where HR can really play an important role in terms of orienting managers effectively so that they can manage this piece better. And the fourth is from a leadership connect perspective and the walk the talk and approachability perspective. That's where the culture aspects of the organization really play an important role. So these are broader things, and I'll let Amulya actually add to it further. These will be some of the quick notes from me.
So thanks, Rajiv, and all of those who are on this webinar, a big thank you. I think there are a lot of acquaintances of Rajiv or me who are already there in this webinar, and some of the friends. So a big thank you on this afternoon of Wednesday, and Eugene for bringing us together. So I'll just take a step back. So in January in Davos, Yuval Noah Harari was speaking about how good 2020 can be. And he also spoke about the pandemic, but nobody believed, right? And suddenly after 1 month, we saw half of the world actually closing. And in Nasib Taleb's word, this pandemic was like a black swan, right? but everybody knew that it was coming, and maybe it was a gray swan. But for HR particularly, the lockdown has been the black swan. So if you agree, because in 2 days, 3 days, exciting times for HR, that we had to do so much of change, so much of strategy, so much of processes. Suddenly, from the hustling, bustling environment of the office and diverse people coming together in the four walls, and then teams, etc., everybody went home, right? And then we had to adopt to work from home. And we thought, okay, maybe it is like 15 days or a month, because it was unprecedented, and we never thought in this developed world of 21st century we'll be locked down for like 3 months or 4 months. And initially people had issues, stress, and also, as Rajiv said, we also had this initial hiccup that how well we are going to connect. So connect, communicate, and collaborate. So what is the tool that suddenly we can bring people in, because we were so used to talking to people, meeting people, going in a conference room, and doing project reviews, and doing, let's say, town halls, bringing people in our cafeterias. So suddenly everything became digital, right? And with that came the paradox with this new normal, that while the world slowed down, the changes become rapid for us, and we also had to adopt to some technology or some digital platform where we could bring our people together, see how we could reach, as Rajiv said, how well we could connect and collaborate, because we saw people staying alone, and especially millennials having very high levels of stress. So how do we quickly connect with them and keep in touch with them so that we could motivate? So I think this platform of workplace has given us a wonderful opportunity, day in, day out, 24/7, to connect with our people, communicate on the go, and assimilate the true digital way of working together in a very, very diverse places.
Thank you both. I really like both of you mentioned how important the connection is, especially for today in a new normal when everyone is physically not together. And both of you mentioned about how important employees' motivation are. I think today it will be a big challenge for a lot of HR leaders as well, because you can't just simply, pat another person's shoulder and just motivate them. And same for leadership's team. There's the distance to connect with everyone. But this actually leads to my curiosity about the next question. We, as HR leaders, you must care about your employees' loyalty to the company, and also the retention rate of your company. Do you think it is highly relevant to a capable internal engagement system?
So let me just take this, and maybe so we are all MBA students, all HR people have read about Maslow's theory, where we talk about physical security and other things, right? So in today's context, if you're looking at an engaged employee, so the millennials specifically, they want to be heard. They want that they feel that they're important in the organization, and they belong to a place, right? So this workplace, this tool gives us what do you say, very, very live platform where people they can put their voices, right? So if you are doing anything, looking at new policies or processes, they can go instantly and post their concerns, their ideas, their suggestions. So it makes them feel that they are being heard, right? And then when we are making groups and subgroups, they feel that they belong to a particular group, and that group actually comes to the organizational level, right? And when some of the suggestions and the ideas that are taken from these people, they feel important. So we announce it on this platform at one go. 3,000 of our employees across India, they can see, okay, so and so has been appreciated for so and so suggestions or ideas. So they feel that importance, and that binds them together and keeps them motivated.
Okay, so let me bring a blended perspective here. First perspective is, if you were to only look at any system or tool to really help organization with respect to the employee loyalty or retention, then I'll say it can not solely make that happen. It's definitely it's going to be one of the important part in the overall perspective. And to be able to relate and understand this better, we'll have to really understand what would enable an employee to have sense of belongingness with the organization and the retention aspects with the company. And I actually look at it from the cognitive and emotional well-being of the employees with the organization. And it starts with, cognitives are all those things which we can, think of, or the tangible aspects of relationship, whether it starts from the work, compensation, rewards, and all those kind of stuff. And the emotional aspects are all about the culture. How do you feel in the organization? Do you have enough opportunity to speak your mind? Do you find culture to be open enough? Do you feel coming to office every morning, etc.? So I think these two things are very, very important. That's where the culture aspects really come to play. On the tangible side, definitely as a manager, you can influence your team motivation a lot. But when it comes to the emotional aspects of well-being, then the organization needs to play an important role. And there, somewhere, as part of the cultural evolving process, we need to have systems to really help us. So, for example, technology will actually bring scale. Technology will also help in terms of our consistent reach out to people. But where it will fail, it would fail in bringing about human empathy or employee empathy. And that's where, we need to marry both the things together really well when we are leveraging a platform or a technology solution or a system along with the empathy, and then provide that experience to our employees so that they relate with the organization better, their sense of belongingness with the company is better. And somewhere technology platforms like Workplace, for example, really work very effectively because you can actually build a lot of emotional bonding with people by way of different stories of employees. We have been posting a lot of stories about our Infogain employees during this pandemic situation. A lot many people brought in their stories from home in terms of how they have been doing different things. One of the employees posted how this employee's mother was actually she came up with this perspective of making these masks and starting distributing to people. So that kind of social touch you bring in on the platform and inspire a lot many people. And these are the aspects where you can build that culture aspects of being one family, one team, and leverage the sense of belongingness really better. So that's where it really helps. The tool really helps in those aspects, but the human touch is very, very important at the same time. That's where I'll actually blend it with.
Thank you both. I think this reminds me actually some stories at Facebook as well. Since March, globally, Facebook also started working from home. And for me, one of the biggest challenges how I can work from home and at the same time manage my 10-month-old boy, who is also at home with a nanny, of course. But still a bit challenging for me, very easy to get distracted. But, on Workplace here internally at Facebook, we had a lot of groups actually organized by not just HR, but some of them are volunteered by some of our colleagues to provide, parenting tips to people who work from home now. And those really strengthen the sense of belongings to the organization, not just from the work side, but it's also to the emotional side. I think both Rajiv and Amulya, you mentioned about this. I totally agree. I think, those kind of loyalty of employees built from there. And I might personally benefit a lot from that as well.
So another story, maybe we talked about emotional engagement. So we use it for physical fitness also. So we had a yoga instructor. So we were doing because of not many people using ergonomically chairs, and then they were sitting on beds, because we were not ready for work from home, typically in India. So we took this opportunity to get a yoga instructor, and he used to come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for at least an hour. And first 1 or 2 sessions, there were very few people, but we saw that it kept on building, and we had almost 10 sessions. So it went live on Workplace, and people used to like it, comment it, and they have been coming back to us that when are we doing the next time? So that community was there who were engaged totally in that yoga thing. So that worked well for us.
Thank you for sharing, Amulya. So my next question, I think it's really for you, Rajiv. I think we want to hear more about your experience on Workplace now, about connecting people virtually, because, in the new normal, and our definition of engagement within an organization has definitely changed. And what's your view of that? And from workplace daily usage perspective,
Right.
how do you think it's helping you?
Sure. I think Workplace came to our rescue. We actually implemented Workplace in the last quarter of last calendar year. So it was in October, November, December 2019. That's where we implemented and introduced Workplace in the organization. And coming March, we were already packing our bags and going remote from a work from home perspective as a global organization. And this was completely a different scenario, right? We never imagined that 100% population will be working remotely, and we will practically have no connect in person with any of the individuals. So how do we build that sense of belongingness and the employee engagement with our employees? And really, the Workplace made many things easy for us. Our ability to actually reach out to people, our ability to connect with them, our ability to start many initiatives, our ability to even help them manage the pandemic scenario from a psychological impact perspective, from a physical fitness perspective, as Amulya was talking about. We in fact went to the extent of we started hosting sessions on parenting. We started because you have kids around. So, for example, if you are working remotely, how do you actually balance it out? And in fact, also how do you do the right things from effective parenting perspective? We also did a lot of physical fitness related sessions. We started doing stress specific stress management specific interventions. And on top of it, we ensure that people are actually feeling connected with the organization, not just from a work perspective, but also as an extended family point of view. I can quickly show a few slides if you guys are okay. I can actually quickly bring them onto the screen and talk about some of the stories which we got into. And since it's on, using your fine if I do that?
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so we adopted this philosophy of 3 C's, we call it, in Infogain with respect to connect, collaborate, and communicate. And that's where the entire initiative on the Workplace journey at Infogain has been driven from. The interesting thing is our adoption to Workplace platform reached to 80% within 19 business days of calendar days of working days of our launch. Our objective was to actually move entire professional connect on the platform. We actually done away with this WhatsApp concept. We don't have anybody on WhatsApp now. We interact on the work chat, right? It's more official information. It's secured, and we try to minimize our email connects, and there's more personalized connect. So I'll actually show you. For example, this is our CEO's workplace. So Sunil Bhatia, he sits in our California headquarters, Los Gatos. So he posted his video very recently on May 15th, sharing about his experience of being at home. So, when all of us were sheltering at home, he shared how does he manage his day. He shared about best practices with people. So that level of connect happens now with CEO directly because of Workplace. He also used this platform for posting some of the major wins possibly would have made, some of the business updates, and also some of the, on top of his mind, he wants to share some posts. He keeps doing those things. Now, our COO, he started sharing about, how was he spending his time on May 26th with his family, creating those goodies, sharing his creative side of personality. And before March 3rd, earlier March, on March 3rd, when he was traveling, and by then we didn't have this travel freeze, etc. He's also based out of our US office. So he shared some robotic video how a robot was serving coffee, right? So these are quite interesting posts. And then of course, you have various other reasons for which you will posting your experiences. This is my page. We call it People's Workplace, where actually I share a lot of experiences, a lot of stories, and I'll keep you giving update on some of them. So Winnie is our HR mascot. So Winnie, ever since we went on this work from home or remote working, we started with some of these funny posts where Winnie is actually sharing different tips with people and also sharing some tunes in terms of some referential quotes to people in terms of what should they be practicing and some informal perspective there. So we also created this work from home enablement nuggets. So every day there would be some message which goes to people. Some are very informative and educative at the same time, where people become aware about how can they manage some of these aspects of their day-to-day life, whether it's how to even conduct themselves while working from home, to managing their stress, to even managing simple things like to remain happy and healthy, right? So those kind of posts regularly happens from this. Um, our engagement, the one interesting thing happened for us in HR, and which is still on. We have gone back to the drawing board to redefine our employee engagement initiatives. You remember today, everybody is virtual. Nobody is there in person. And tomorrow, when we start coming back to office, which possibly will happen in our case after September 1 only, not before that, we will have only very few people coming back to office. And we'll still have combination of people working remotely as well as working from office. So how do we actually manage engagement for both? That's why we are trying to redefine the entire engagement perspective for us in HR. And so we are back onto the drawing board, trying to do all that kind of thing. But as soon as we hit the remote working, we leverage platform for some of these aspects where we started celebrating different occasions, events. Yoga, for example, we're talking about that. We had yoga session also organized. This is a very interesting thing which I started in last 3 months. We have started highlighting Infogain heroes in a form of some of the people who have gone beyond all of their duties, either by way of contributing in social causes, contributing in any other aspects of their contribution, and bringing those stories before the rest of the Infogain employees. Now, what is the interesting thing in this? The person feels he's celebrity of the company, right? He or she is the celebrity of the organization. That's one. Number two, not many people follow them and they get inspired, right? That's what the intention is. And third is that sense of belongingness will automatically go high and up with these kind of stories when we are inspiring and enrolling people into these kind of things. Now, this is what I was talking about. This lady has made mask, and her daughter, who happens to be our employee, actually posted about this. Some of the creative sides of our employees started coming on into the workplace. So these pictures are recent. You can see the dates also, June 1, June 16. So we also leverage it for celebrating, whether it's a certification, learning, recognition. One of the employees, for example, on June 15, she posted she completed 5 years with the company. She had joined us from the campus fresher. She posted her overall journey in the organization. So these are very inspiring stories, right? So nobody asked any of them to post these stories. They're doing it by themselves. Trainings happen. We leverage platform in terms of giving the updates on the training aspects also. And then these are some of the things we are doing currently in the pandemic. Some of them I covered, and that's some part. And then the connect part, we leverage some part of it in terms of connecting with people and sharing those stories with the rest of the employees. Yeah, I was talking about this video in the middle, the screenshot of that, where we actually had a dance classes for the parents, for the kids of our employees, right? So those were organized virtually, and those kind of stories were shared with the rest of the employees. We had parenting session, that was a post which is next to that. These are our reward recognition posts on the workplace itself. And then we have various communities. For example, one of that is here, which is runners group. So people actually keep sharing about, unfortunately now people don't run as they used to. So the last post we had on in March month, where one of the guys in that group posted about it. We also have we call it book club, and we meet regularly, and then everybody actually so there would be presenters. So we have merged book club with the concept of what do you call it? It's basically bringing about the executive presence of people before. That's where they share their stories and all other things. So these are some of the slides. So I'll stop it here. I took a lot of time. Sorry about it, but I thought let me share the stories through pictures.
But must say that you and your team has adopted it very well, and we are already doing that. So apart from the project stuff and all that we're talking about. So a month back, I just sent out a mail to all the people that surprise awaits you at 6 o'clock. You log into Workplace, and nobody knew what exactly it was. And we announced that we are doing an impromptu jig. So there were a lot of people who just came impromptu, sang, played. And I think that was a great feeling of bonhomie and camaraderie amongst all our people. So apart from whatever I think Rajiv has shared, we also use it. So we just some time back, we launched a recognition bot, which is known as Cheers from Peers. So basically, we're not restricted it that only bosses have to give. We want the peers or the juniors also to give, and then it flashes on the Workplace, and then people like it. So, millennials or anybody, any human being, they want to see that, okay, how many people are liking, giving a thumbs up. So that makes the engagement more lively in the organization. And we used it in the COVID times that we also created a COVID bot. We just put it in the Workplace. So we were doing surveys to see how many people are okay, not okay. And in case if they had any issues, the business HR people actually were getting in touch with them or call and asking if everything was okay, they need any help or not, any medical coverage, insurance, those kind of stuff. And then we were posting a lot of things to stay safe and stay healthy on that COVID bot that we have in Workplace.
That's great. That's great. I think this is what we have always been saying. I think one of the key reasons is Workplace brings a lot of Facebook's designs and features into the product. So when and in a work environment, when HR leaders or any functions leaders, they try to build a sense of community there, it's very easy because people naturally just respond to it. So thanks for sharing with us. I think this is exactly what, as a Facebook member, this is what exactly I always hope to see. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next question, Rajiv, I think I'm very keen to know for Infogain, what made you choose Workplace? In your market, there are tons of tools you can pick from. And I believe at that time you're already a part of Microsoft licensing, and then you could just pick up any tools from them for internal communication. What made you change your mind and move to Workplace?
Sure. So in fact, just a step back to that question. As a company, we have been an evolving organization because we went through some equity change a few years back, and from being a founder-led company, we became all of a sudden a professional private equity-led company. And that brought in a lot of changes for us. All of us have joined recently in the last 2 to 3 years in the organization, came from different companies in the past. So in the process of that, we have been looking at evolving ourselves. So our context has been or was that what are the things we need to do differently, whether it's go-to-market strategy to, when we look at internally from a culture building perspective. And the context at which I was looking at Workplace was more cultural in nature. My context was that. But at the same time, the business context was we already have certain tools available, right? We had Microsoft Teams as a productivity suite available, and there was no additional money we were to pay for that, right? Because it was part of that entire productivity suite. And at the same time, there were other platforms. Some of them were internal as well. And I looked at the context of the organization. And that's where I would actually recommend that everybody needs to look at what is that problem statement they want to fix first, instead of just saying that, okay, there's one platform available. Platform is available. It can give you solutions in multi-directional view. What is your problem statement which you want to address? And if you really saw the pictures I showed you, those pictures indicate our ability to connect and communicate effectively, if you really see that. And my problem statement was around these two aspects. Now, how do I actually build better connect among our employees? Because there was a legacy of erstwhile Infogain before the investors came on board as a PE firm, and there was a new Infogain which was being built. And at the same time, how do you ensure that there's a consistent communication happening across the organization? We have been growing rapidly in the last few years. We have acquired a couple of companies, and last year we also have spread our wings beyond some of the geographies we were operating. For example, we started our office in Poland recently. So from that point of view, communication consistency is very, very important so that people feel that they're part of one organization. And these were my problem statements from people perspective. And I felt that we were not doing it very effectively and very, in a right way. We had our email communication going, newsletters going, but those were one-sided, right? Those were not collaborative. And that's where the third perspective came into the picture. Then I actually brought this story around it that if we were to address this, what do we need? And we looked at various options, internal, external, including Teams. I think where I felt that Teams was good was more on productivity suite because it is connecting with your MS Office, it's connecting with your Outlook, everything is connected, interlinked. So very good from that performance, and nobody can beat them. That's a fact. But it doesn't help you in connect. It doesn't help you in communication. It doesn't give you usability. It doesn't give you experience, which you really need of building the connect. The way we create videos, the way we post stories, the way at a click of button we reach out to all 4,000 plus people in the across the globe. All that was not happening from there, and that's what I said. One, I need to bring about this cultural consistency element into the organization. At the same time, I want to bring usability aspect to the people as well. And we had a lot of discussions. I spoke to Nikhil in Facebook for long. We pursued this discussion multiple times. I had to enroll a lot many leaders in house because it was a cost investment, right? It's not easy when you're actually going beyond available solutions. But I was convinced, and so was our leadership. And then all that led us to actually get into the reality. And I'm so glad that we did that. We made that choice and they took that decision, which is helping us in the current situation as well.
Thank you, Rajiv, for sharing. And Ms. Amalia, and what's your experience like to implementing workplace? I think Rajiv mentioned the cultural change part, but just to know what's team computers experience after you start using
Right.
workplace.
So I was blessed that when I joined, it was already in place. So it's only been 4.5 months. So my job was to increase adoption of the people, get new things on the board because we primarily operate in India. So we are very people dispersed across different states and different districts and all. And there are a lot of engineers on the go. So this platform, because it's on the mobile, it's very easy for all our people to get connected, wish them, recognize those people who are out on the call during COVID times. And so, of course, first thing was how do we reach out to all the 2,600 people that we have in India? How do we bring them on one platform? And whatever we are communicating to them or recognizing people, how they get to know that instantly, right? So if we are doing a town hall and the CEO wants to say something about the organization, where we are, where we want to go, how can we ensure that people on the field at different locations are hooked onto it, right? They listen to him. So first, of course, was to ensure that everybody collaborates well on the story that we have for now and for the future, communicate well across teams, across geographies in India. I'm talking about all the locations, right? And ensure that we build a culture of recognition, appreciation, and taking care of our people. So we are driving hard. I think Rajiv and team has already adopted newer things, and I got ideas. So I'm 100% sure that we have so many people who are waiting to start clubs like book club or runners club or hikers club. So we are just waiting for this COVID to get open, and we'll have more of these people coming in. So we'll see more traction and adoption of our workplace in our organization. So that is where we are. So one small thing. So let's say we have this thing of wishing people on anniversaries and birthdays. So typically, if you see, there'll be a mail which will go from a backend to the person and to the manager, and it stops there, right? But we are adopting and putting it in the workplace. So the whole team and the whole organization knows if somebody has completed, let's say, 10 years. So 10 years in an IT company, of course, is a huge duration in today's time, right? So they feel that we have recognized them, and many of the teammates and peers, they can wish them well. So a small thing, but huge impact. So we see this workplace bringing in a lot of this changes in the way we are doing employee engagement and making cultural changes in the organization, because it's a 33-year-old organization, and we were in the same path as Infogain, Rajiv. We don't have P's right now, so it's a privately held company, but that's the way we also maybe in near future we want to go. But before that, we want to set it as professional as we can be, and create through this collaboration platform workplace.
Right. Thank you, Amelia. Thanks for sharing. And I think to close out these panel discussion, I have my last question for both of you. And please share with us your anticipation of the role of HR leaders in the new normal.
Rajiv?
I couldn't hear the question. Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, I think the question is your anticipation your anticipation of the role of HR leaders in the new normal.
Yeah, I think, I will actually, Amulya, you want to go first or?
It's very of course the first thing that comes to mind is that we have been hit by meteor in this COVID time, so we are not prepared. But then, of course, it has given us a new challenge to look at all our things, go back to the drawing board, starting from how do we do hiring, okay, till the time we do the exit. How do we stitch that together digitally is the biggest challenge. And then, of course, once the people is in, how do we engage them? How do we meaningfully engage them to keep them with us, right, and motivate them for whatever we want to do that. So I see the HR role changing in the sense that we have to become architects of the new design of the organization that we want to make, which has this part of digital transformation of the organization very, very strong, because this new normal is there for long now. So I think anybody who thought that the work from home was not the option, including us, this is the reality. So for HR leaders like us, we have to go back and see how do we digitally transform, starting from hiring to the exit of the employee and the complete their HR life cycle in the organization. How we can look at that and make it more meaningful. So that's the challenge I see for myself in next maybe 1 year or so.
Sure. So in fact, we recently had our sales kickoff meet, and that was done virtually for the first time. It was first ever management sales kickoff for us, which happened virtually with under 30 people globally attending that. And my presentation in that was all about the change around us. And I actually talked about some of the things, Amulya, you mentioned in terms of going back to drawing board and talking about how do we redefine the norms of employee engagement and experiences, starting from the first touch point till last touch point, looking at all processes to even learning and development perspectives to people and engagement perspectives, and leveraging technology around that. The second important piece which I talked about in that was that the careers now will have no boundaries. One of the things, we are an IT services company, right? We have offices in multi-geography, and typically what happens is people have this cognitive biases saying that if the person is not in particular city or country, then how would this work? But today, if you really look at it, everybody is working remotely, right? So the career definition of the boundaries have disappeared. So my message to entire leadership was that now when we are looking at career, we need to look at it without boundaries.
Yeah.
So leverage this as an opportunity and create that opportunity for our employees in terms of giving them careers irrespective of what geography they are based at. That's second important thing, and that's where we need to. I feel all HR leaders should actually create more context around in the organizations and evolve that perspective for better, because that's where the career will really shape up for our employees. And third is, how do we actually balance technology with the human empathy in the coming days, so that we can't leave everything to technology. Technology will operate in a particular way. If a manager is meeting his team members in a technology platform, that's an enablement. That's an enablement that he is able to meet his team members, or he or she is able to meet team members. But what is more important is how does he or she conduct in that discussion, right? And that's where the human empathy will come to play. And I think that's where a big transformation we need to bring about at workplaces. Rest you have already covered, Amulya. So these are some additional thoughts there.
But I can only say that these times are very exciting time for HR. So I think the organization also realized that we are equally important as sales or marketing. So I think a lot depends on all the HR fraternity to devise new strategies for our people and for the organization. So pretty exciting time for us.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing your amazing insights. I think that's the end of the panel discussion. Thank you both again. Let's take about 10 minutes later to hear from Meenakshi from Team Computers. So Meenakshi has the customer success for Team Computers. As we know that adoption of any technology today has been a key factor, and we have seen business introducing new projects and true innovations, but at times doesn't last long. And we've just heard a lot from Rajiv and Amulya that about workplace implementation and transformation. It's really a journey about the change management and cultural transformation. So how we can really make this journey happen successfully to your organization, I think let's have Meenakshi to spend about 10 to 15 minutes to share with us the implementation and investment. Hi, Meenakshi, over to you.
Thanks, YJ. So great listening to both of you, Amulya and Rajiv. A lot of learnings there. Very happy to see how both the organizations are, moving towards this journey of digital transformation. A bit about, on the launches part of it. So we have been dealing with a lot of digital transformation launches for various product, workplace being one of them. The basic framework for a launch, and it segregates from a company to company because the culture of the organization plays a very pivotal role in how the new platform gets adopted. Working with a lot of CTOs, CIOs, and MD of the company, their first primarily question comes to, okay, fine, we'll invest in this technology, but how do I ensure that I get the return on investment? Because ultimately the technology gets handed over to the people, and the success of it getting incubated within the organization lies in people's hands. So that's the first challenge that, from an HR standpoint or an MD standpoint is put in front of us. To launch these kind of platforms, and particularly workplace, we designed a very structured 6 pillars, to readiness. And the 6 pillars revolve around, aligning on business drivers and success metrics. So before we start the project, we align the business drivers in terms of what is expected out of the plan, drivers that you think that this platform should bring, and we align our success metrics around it. For example, as Rajiv shared that, within 18-19 days, they were able to achieve 0 to 80%, move from 0 to 80% of engagement. So that was one of their business drivers that they wanted to achieve in the first month of launch. So we align very clearly business drivers, map the success metrics around it. A very important aspect that we have seen a lot of transformation failing is, where we don't have a business sponsor or alignment of executive consensus. So that becomes my second pillar. Gaining executive consensus is very important. These transformations might be coming from, the MD's desk or from the CTO's side. However, all business heads, be it HR, sales, marketing, finance, all function heads have to be part, and they have to be inclusive of this transformation. So that comes as my second pillar, where we work with each of these units, identifying what will go well with them, what are the business cases, how they will derive value to it. It also helps us keeping the executives updated, and engaged throughout the project cycle. The third pillar that we usually work is ensuring the IT alignment. So, IT again plays an important role in setting up all integration in place, making a smooth transaction so that there is no back end to and fro, when people are trying to log in, or any issues that we can remove from their environment, so that this becomes a very smooth and very happy to go transaction where people just easily able to log into workplace and, feel connected to the entire organization. So third pillar, most important, is ensuring IT alignment. My fourth pillar builds up is, building the right project team. Generally, in a lot of transformation project, and, we see if the right team is not there, then there are high chances that we might start very on a high note, but the project might slip in between. So the right project team from both the sides, that means from the organization side, where we should have who would handle the IT landscape, who will handle the communication part, who will handle the launch strategy, and similar mapping of from the partner side, where there would be a project deliverables, there would be CSS deliverables. So the roles and responsibilities are categorically defined, so that there are no miss during the project cycle. So building the right project teams, bringing the right stakeholder in place becomes very imperative. The fifth, which becomes a crucial part of it, is project milestones and marking. So while we, a normal workplace launch, initially before the COVID time struck, we had a 5 weeks launch plan. The moment we came, in this new scenario, a lot of organization came back to us that they would like to do a quick launch of 10 days to 15 days. So we designed the entire, launch strategy around it. Milestone becomes very important part. It keeps us updated on what is happening. We are not deviating from the cycle, and taking care and taking in between dipsticks to understand that things are happening in the right track. The last of my pillar becomes, is my identifying a launch date. Generally, in few of the projects, when we ask for a launch date, the customer says it's okay, we will kick off, and we will come back to the launch date in some time. In workplace, it does not work like this. We generally ask them that we need to fix the launch dates first and work backwards. The launch days does not shift, and everything happens primarily to that. So all the communication, the curtain raisers, MD's video, launch videos, everything happens before that. In my experience, we have done quite some launches for workplace, and why this launch becomes very different from any other digital platform launches is, workplace launch, preferably the launch becomes the most important part, because everything, the preparation, the readiness happens before the launch date. And on the launch date, it is just a rocket, going, into open skies and getting our milestones achieved. That's why, all the HR, fraternity, who are looking out for launching this kind of platform, it becomes imperative that you focus on the launch part of it, because once the launch and the readiness and preparedness is complete, whatever milestones, whatever business drivers you have listed, you would be able to achieve them in no time. The platform itself provides that engaging way of achieving those business stats. Workplace has great insight tools through which you can you would be able to look at the dipsticks of how the platform is doing, how the people are doing, what the people are generally feeling, how the posts are doing. So that's a great tool given for HR and the engagement fraternity to see how the tool is actually building the culture of the organization. So those are the 6 pillars to readiness from my side. And I think, if we stay on these pillars, we have tried and tested in different organizations, in different verticals. And till now, it has shown us great result. Another example that I would like to showcase, throw upon is workplace just as a mean of platform. And I think it is just deriving from what Rajiv and Amulya said. We initiate workplace as a platform of collaboration, but we have seen that it is just not a collaborative platform. It becomes a platform where work gets done. It becomes wired into the organization as a working platform. In one of our customers, where we have seen that their project groups have moved to workplace, and all their project updates are now happening on workplace and not on email. In another customer, we have seen that they have moved their IT help desk support, which was earlier on a different platform, to workplace, and people log in through that, and the transaction time is very fast there. So that's a few great examples that are coming from ground, and during these time they are playing a very pivotal role in keeping the organization all intact. So I think that's all from my side. If anybody has some questions, we are glad to take them up.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Yeah, I think we're right on time, and thanks everyone. I think today audience are a little bit shy of asking questions, but I'm sure you will have a few of them. Probably you can reach out to us soon after this webinar. But yeah, so thanks again, Rajiv and Mulia, Meenakshi, for sharing all of these very useful insights. And personally, I've been working on this platform for over 3 years. I've seen many organizations actually in the end celebrate launching it. And this is, like Meenakshi said, it's beyond just a system, a platform, and it's truly going to be a sign of you are brave enough to make a change to your internal culture for communication and engagement, and you are ready to commit to something to your employees internally. Yeah, so really happy to be here today and have the past 1 hour, the awesome time with all of you. And have a nice evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.